Hello, my lovely soul sisters. I have some big, exciting news. Yoga Bliss, if you've been following me on YouTube for the past 5 years, is back. I'm doing a major rebranding, and I want to share my journey of this transfer and this awakening and this alive energy. And I'm also feeling really called to really hone in on our old stories so we can write a new story of our lives. I love you. Please share this with one beautiful woman, one beautiful soul that you feel that she really needs this message today. Please share and head over to iTunes and leave Yoga Bliss with Shelly a 5-star rating and a review. It means the universe to me. You are now listening to Yoga Bliss, and I'm Shelly, your soul sister, friend. I'm a mama of 3, a yoga teacher, a spiritual alchemist, a student of this thing called life. I'm here creating this collective of women to help us know that we're not alone in this thing called life, and that through different practices and through awakening to our heart-centered selves, that we can truly, my lovely soul sisters, live the life that we have always dreamt of, because this is our life. And I am huge on embracing our healing journey, our inner health journey. And part of that is embracing even the ugly aspects of ourselves as we heal from our past. We move into the present, embracing this lovely life. I'm so grateful to be a part of your journey. I love you. Let's get to it. Hello, my beauties. Change is once again among us. I feel like I am such a chameleon when it comes to change. I'm always really trying to reinvent and re-evolve myself. And it's not that I don't love myself the way I am. I do. I love her. I love you, Shelly, so much. I just really crave this growth and this shift. And it's interesting. I'm thinking that we have lived, my family and I have lived in this house for 2.5 years. And usually the big change that I get comes from my living environment. We have moved a lot. When I was a kid, I moved 49 times. And it's interesting because I feel really rooted and at home for like the first time in my entire life. And so I need to have this change in my life. And so maybe notice on your journey, wherever you are and wherever you're feeling that static or stagnant energy, and change is such this beautiful way to shift it from within us, and that we don't have to do this huge outer purge, which that's kind of what I'm doing now. It's been a lot of this inner change and this inner transformation lately because the pandemic has ceased to exist. I mean, there's little stagnants. You still see a few people wearing masks here and there, but life is kind of calming down. And now it's time for us to emerge from our shells, turtles. Do you feel like that? Did you hide? Were you like, no change? No, nothing that is not certain. And so I am here expanding, getting back to my roots. So 5 years ago, I actually started a YouTube channel with my sisters, and it was called Storybook Sisters. And I had this huge vision that me and my 2 sisters, Jenny and Amy, were going to have this channel where we would share our mom tips and just do our lives. We lived in this neighborhood called Storybook, and we all lived on Friar Tuck. They were all named after storybook characters. Remember Robin Hood? There was Friar Tuck. And both of my sisters did not really like being on camera. And I thought, well, I still want to do this. So I still was recording myself under Storybook Sisters. And then I'm trying to think of this journey. And then I started my yoga teacher training. And it's so funny if I look back at the old videos, before I even took my yoga teacher training 5 years ago, that I had posted a few movement practices on there, even though I was kind of starting my own. I had actually my own yoga practice. I didn't know like all of the postures, but I just knew that there was something to this. And then I went to my yoga teacher training, and I think I called it Bliss Out. I think it was love, peace, and happiness. It's evolved a lot. And then it went to Yoga Bliss with Shelly, and I loved Yoga Bliss with Shelly. It was like a great name. It was like Yoga Bliss with Shelly. And then I got on this really deep desire, which I still have this, to have my own healing center. And then I shifted my channel to the name of my book and the name of my podcast, Awaken You. And then I had Awaken You Healing Center. but it's just kind of like this blah, 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 whole mouthful. And I've been having a lot of this, not as much inner turmoil, just kind of this inner deciphering about what is my real purpose and what do I really want to bring to the world. And think of there's 7 billion people on the planet, and I'm thinking of the yoga world, and I want to bring yoga and healing, and that was the premise of the healing center. But Yoga Bliss just came back to me. It was just like a few days ago. My sister said, "Well, I really loved Yoga Bliss." And I said, "I did too. I loved it so much, but I felt like maybe because my channel hadn't exploded that I needed to rebrand and I needed to shift." But I feel it. I feel it in here. Have you ever just finally had that feeling where instead of like uncertainty and not knowing, it's just like this like self actualization that I just can feel it. I can feel it in my solar plexus and it feels good in my body. Like the vibration feels good versus Awaken You Yoga Healing Center felt good. But every time I would go to record a class, it was like, and then I would like stumble over my words and Yoga Bliss rolls off the tongue. And so I get on YouTube and there is another beautiful soul and she has a yoga studio called Yoga Bliss. And so I was thinking, okay, so there is another Yoga Bliss out there. So I decided to come back to the roots, Yoga Bliss with Shelly. And I really decided that my purpose is to bring as much love and healing and yoga and movement to women in the world as possible. And I am not leaving anyone out. I just really feel this calling to do work with women and mamas. I know it. I feel it. And I have done women's retreats and women's circles. And when I get into those spaces with women, there's this really connective piece and there's this allowed, open vulnerability that women share together. And I know that us women, we need to do some deep healing in our feminine roots, deep ancestral healing. And that's why I'm here. And so Yoga Bliss, my beautiful soul sisters, it's here. It's back. So I'm rebranding and my YouTube channel is now once again Yoga Bliss with Shelly. So I was going back and forth a lot of times and YouTube, I put in Yoga Bliss or Yoga Bliss for women. And I changed it like 2 times. Then YouTube said, you cannot change your channel name more than 2 times in 14 days. So right now it's Yoga Bliss for women. That's how you'll probably find it on there. It's going to be rewritten. Ambaka chaka chaka, chicken salad sandwich. That's what I always say to my kids. Don't know why. It just comes out, flows off the tongue. So it is going to be shifted. And I've really been working on my look. And so it's a lot of things. And this one thing keeps coming back to me from Tony Robbins is that if we want to change our lives, if we're not happy with where we are, then we have to make radical changes in our lives. And I know a lot of us, especially me, right? The uncertainty of things gets us stopped dead in our tracks. And then we just don't do anything, or we just keep doing things the same way that we've done them. And we can't do something the same way and expect a new result. That's actually, I have this really lovely, I've talked about it before, these beautiful like quotes in my bathroom. And one of them is that you can't expect something new to happen from old ways of doing things. So I keep getting these messages from my spirit guides, the universe. I keep hearing that radical change, Shelly, that's stick is shifting, radical change. So I've worked a lot on my logo. Like, I'm not kidding you, for days and days. And I think it looks so good. I'm super stoked and excited. I don't know how I'm somehow going to bring it and show it to you here. If you haven't checked out, you can just head over to YouTube and see it and check it out and see what you think and how you feel. And so my logo is this circle and it's this goldeny yellow, which is my soul color. And then it has like this almost like vibrant watercolor mark just on the lower kind of right hand. If you were to go like southeast corner, like fiery, and just this beautiful circle. And then it says Yoga Bliss. And then that's in that yellowy color and really beautiful, simple, clean, thin lines. And the circle is more of a thinner line. I was kind of playing back and forth with the thinner and the thicker circle, really just like I just want it to pop. And my colors are this yellowy orange with that really deep, tealy, bluey, green mermaid color. And then in cursive underneath it says with Shelly. And then obviously this channel, this space that I'm creating, which is also going to be my website, is a space for yoga, a space for growth, and inner healing for women. And those were everything that I have encompassed in my mission, because really my deep mission is to bring as much love and healing to women as possible. And through this conduit of yoga, which I know that yoga is my calling. And how do I know? Because I can feel it. Like, have you just felt something deep at the core of who you are that just brings you so much joy that you just want to do it all of the time? Like, I want to do it all of the time. I wake up every morning at 5:50, 5:51 now, and I get my butt up, I drink my water, I sit on my meditation cushion, I do my meditation activation, and then I am practicing yoga like every day. And whether it's 30 minutes or an hour, I am always showing up on my mat. And recently, Junie has been starting a morning practice. This is her second week of her starting her morning practice, and she's been waking up at like 6:20. And this morning, my soul sisters, oh my gosh, she's like so cranky and groggy and floppy around the mat. And I'm just like holding space for her, because I remember when I first started my self-care practice, it's ugly, it's messy, it's like, what am I doing here? But it was so interesting, because just yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, she was saying how she was like, Mama, it's really hard to get up and I have a hard time, but after I start moving my body, I feel better. And then when I'm all the way done, I feel so much better and I'm ready to start my day. And it was like, ah. And so I'm holding space even this morning when she wasn't like that and she's getting grumpy. And I am really excited because on Yoga Bliss, I have written up, I'm doing 11 yoga practices for beginners. Back to the beginner mindset, even for us who've been practicing. I've been practicing for almost 9 years now, and getting back to the basics, back to the foundations of anything in life is such a great way. It's just a great approach. And so Junie's really been helping me with that. And so I wrote these 11 practices. And of course, I wrote them out, and I wrote way too many poses. I'm trying to fit like everything in, but I want them to be 10 minutes, because I'm thinking of when I very first started moving my body. I thought 30 minutes. I'm like, I don't have 30 minutes, but 10 minutes. I feel like there's no excuses. You have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes for yourself, 10 minutes to just wake up, stretch, move, and breathe. I want to make it easy and approachable. And so it was awesome, because I've been practicing these with Junie this week and really honing in on what's important and what really is not a basic pose, because even like a downward dog, it's really hard and it's really intimidating. And Junie is so beautiful because we use our blocks for everything. And she was showing me how it's so much easier for her to use both blocks on the sides to do her downward dog and to press back. And so she really has been really helping me just like sculpt and make it exactly amazing how it's going to be. I'm so grateful for her. And okay, so for this radical change, how do you get radical and change something that you've been doing for 5 years? Well, this huge shift. So I found this beautiful soul. I'd never seen her before, Sarah Beth. She does Sarah Beth yoga, and her practices, her newer ones, are on this white backdrop, and they're very clean, and she dubs over her voice. And I found out she has 2 little ones, and I was thinking, you're genius, Mama. You're so genius, because it is so challenging being at home with kids and dogs and fans and refrigerators and my husband coming home, opening the garage in the middle of the day, that I love this dubbed over, because also the sound quality is really beautiful. And so in my own creative way, instead of reinventing the wheel, because she's doing amazing. She's crushing it with like 1.6 million people, crushing it big time. So for not reinventing the wheel, I just had this beautiful vision of me with the white background and some wooden like pot holders and beautiful plants. And then I just imagined I have this beautiful Himalayan salt lamp. I don't know how it's all going to play out. This is my vision. And then I'm going to be there in this beautiful, clean background, because often I get over cluttered with my stuff in the background, and I think it takes away from the class. And then I I know that I've struggled with my audio and my sound for a really long time, so I'm giving this a try. I'm not giving it a try, I'm doing it and I'm seeing it, and I'm creating this set. I ordered all the things that I need. I ordered this 10 by 12 white backdrop. Like it is like snow white, but I want to bring my own flair to it. My sisters are like so amazing and so supportive. I'm so grateful for you, Jenny and Amy. They're so helpful with me on this journey and just walking me through. And they're both like really amazing home designers. Like my sister Jenny, her house is always just like so perfectly, not perfectly, but it's just put together in a way that feels really good for her. And then it feels really good for us. And so my sisters helped me kind of piece together my new look because I'm getting more professional. I'm feeling like I need this more professional space. And so I'm planning out my outfits. I'm making this more, it's intuitive, but it's also like I'm executing it in a really professional way. And I have my beautiful mat that I've been using. My sister got it for me actually for my birthday a year and a half ago. And it's this beautiful emeraldy deep green. To me, it represents healing of the heart chakra, the Anahata chakra. And then Jenny was like, okay, let's bring in some mint and some lighter neutral colors. And then I ordered this really beautiful woven blanket because I really feel like in our practice, it's so important to take care of our joints. And so we have the blanket for our knee joints. Also, the blanket to keep us warm. Warm, that's how Jack says. He says his words like that. And then my blocks, I say already, I got these minty green from that Gaia. Is it Gia or Gaiam? Giam? Yeah, Gaia is like the website, the app. And then this is Gaiam. I love their blocks. They're great. And I actually found them on Sierra for $4.99 a piece when I went to Amazon, and they had one used block for $14.99. I was like, I'm going to get the two brand new ones for $4.99. Thank you, Sierra. So I'm literally like piecing it together, and I'm actually going to be getting some new planties for my set. And I'm making the set, and I got these little two wooden, really short, stumpy stools. They actually remind me of my Gigi's house. She used to live in the mountains, and one of my favorite memories as a kid is me and my sisters would go up to their A-frame cabin in Crystal Lakes. It was like an hour away from our house, and trees and nature, and they always had just like beautiful wooden stumps around. So it's kind of like this wooden stump with 3 legs, and I have 2 of those at different heights. So I'm going to put plants on those, and I'm recreating. I already see it. Do you ever have those experiences where you see it first and then you bring it to fruition? So that's what I'm doing. I'm recreating. And then I've also written out, I am going to be recording when I get all my stuff, and I actually rewind a little bit back, that this white backdrop, at first I was thinking, oh, I'll just record and then I'll cut myself out, I'll green screen it. And I'm doing this professional, and I'm going to be using a new camera, so I'm having new technology. And I also got like legit lights. So in this white background, which I didn't really know this because I'm just learning, YouTube is like my teacher of all things. I'm squeaking on my wiggle seat here. And that I have to have 4 lights. So I got 2 of these giant softbox lights, and then 2 of these crazily fluorescent lights. Because what I've been recording with, first of all, I never recorded with any light. I just never even thought of that. And then I got one of those halo lights that you put on your phone. But the problem is I'm so far away. And then I've bought probably 3 different lapel mics, and probably I just bought the not as expensive ones. I needed to invest in the higher quality ones. And then the lapel mic is like always failing. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let it go and just come as I am. But I'm feeling like I'm being more professional, and I'm growing, and I am expanding, and there's a lot of things behind the scene. And I'm so grateful that my sisters are helping me like piece this together, and it's not just me. And yeah, so I will say that talking about stories, I wanted to bring up like, what are our old stories? And I know that some of my old stories when it comes to business and my profession is that it's too hard. I don't know how to, I don't have enough information. I'm not worthy, blah, 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 blah. But it was interesting because the other night I was laying in bed, and that old story was trying to play, saying that I can't, blah, blah, blah. But my new story Actually, when I was exploring my old story, I was thinking of all of these great moments in my life where I really thrived and survived. And I went all the way back to when I went to hair school like 20 years ago. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like this newbie, and you had to go to basics for 3 months. And the first month was hair cutting, the second month was hair color, the third month was like perms and like special occasion styles. And so it was 3 months there, and then you got put out on the floor. So think of this long building. It was in Fort Collins, and it's actually not even there anymore. It was called Hair Dynamics, kind of an old rundown building. But I'm really grateful for my experience there. So the basics was all the way in the back of the long building. And then you would come forth, and then there was like the floor, and it was like a hair studio. And there was a big open space. There was mirrors and chairs lined on the right side of the room, left side of the room, big wide mouth, and in the center there was like a few freestanding stations that had a hair station on the front and the back. Well, the girls who had really high GPAs, like the honor students, they got to be in the middle station. And I remember that first month I got on the floor and I'm in one of these side stations, and I'm like, I need one of those middle stations. I'm going to crush this. And I did. And I put my all into school. Like, I think I graduated with a 96%. It wasn't 100% perfect, but it was my kind of perfectly imperfect that I just was like, I'm doing this. And I had that middle station, and I felt so confident and amazing. And then I started taking clients, even though I was like unsure. When I first started cutting men's hair, they taught us start in the back of the head, because by the time you move around, you'll get more confident in yourself. And then I finally got to a point where I'm like, I'm starting on the left side of the ear. I'm not starting in the back side of the head. And then I went to this hair salon I worked at for 10 years. It was called 10, and it used to be an Aveda salon back in the days. And I got trained to be an Aveda stylist, and I actually also got trained to do makeup for brides and bridesmaids. And I grew exponentially there. I worked my butt off. Within 5 years, 5 or 6 years, I think it was 5, I was a master stylist. I always took trainings. I always hit benchmarks. My productivity was high. I gave it my all. And I loved my friends. I loved my coworkers. It was like a good vibe. And so I'm thinking of all of my wins. I'm like, I am capable of thriving in the workspace. It's just my old story was that I could maybe only survive and thrive in the hair industry, because when I started this shift into yoga and then healing, energetic healing, it was like, oh my gosh, this is new. It's funny that it's new, but really deep down at a soul level, it's been here forever. In my past lives, like it connects. It just is. I just can do energetic healing. It's not anything that even I learned when I did my Reiki training, levels 1, 2, 3, and the masters. There was things in there that I was like, oh wow, this feels like at home. Like healing has always been something really close to my heart. And when I first started teaching yoga, getting up in front of people and talking in front of people was like, because my old story was I'm shy, people aren't going to listen to me. I had to reinvent myself. I had to recreate myself. And now my new story is I'm confident. I love sharing. People love listening to what I have to say. And I'm learning this too from Tony Robbins, because I'm so excited. Next month, I'm taking his the Unleash the Power Within training. It's 4 days intensive. I think it's going to be like 46 hours in 4 days. It's going to rock my world. And it's this full immersion of personal growth. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so ready for it. Something though I'm learning is our story is like, maybe it connects more as a blueprint. Like a blueprint is it's like the foundation of how you begin something. So I think of blueprint or story, they're both the same, whatever resonates more. That we have to get to the root of what is our story, and then we have to rewrite it and rewire it. We can't just say, oh, my new story is I'm not shy, because I could have said that a million times, but actually getting up and teaching in front of 20 students and 2 instructors, I was forced to take action. And that's something too that I think of for many years is that I'm such a dreamer. I'm a Gemini. Junie and I were talking about our signs this morning, and I've a lot of my life lived up in the ethers, very free and floaty and creative. One of my old stories is like, I can't connect that. It's too hard. There's too many steps. And here I'm like, no, my new creation of myself is I'm grounded, I'm rooted. And when I am on this path, when I am on the path that the universe has given me, that the universe just keeps showing up when I keep showing up. And the universe is always here. And as Gabby Berenstein shared in her beautiful book and her card deck that I love, the universe has my back and the universe has your back. And it's so interesting too, because we look at people who are really successful in their fields. Like I'm looking at Yoga with Adriene, or this new woman that I just found out, Sarah Beth Yoga. And Sarah Beth Yoga she was on a really similar path of mine. And for 5 years, she was kind of on her YouTube vlogging journey, and it was just kind of sinking and flopping. And then she worked really hard and persevered. And what we do behind the scenes, like our personal practice, is what we get rewarded for. And it's not like these people just like one day showed up and was like, I think of movie stars too. Like, I'm famous now. Milo was talking about, who are we talking about? Oh, we were talking about Tom Hanks and Adam Sandler. And Milo was like, geez, Mom, Tom Hanks has been in so many movies. And I said, yeah, honey, I bet he's been acting for like 30 or 40 years. Like, he's been in hundreds of movies, and same with Adam Sandler. And it wasn't just one movie that helped him to succeed in the acting field. It was each film after each film. And even you look back some old days, like we watched some old movie and Adam Sandler was like a backup character a million years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know Adam Sandler was in this. I think it was Mixed Nuts. Was it that one? Or maybe it was something different. That one was like all of these hidden famous people now. And so I guess my message is that we have to just keep showing up and we have to keep plugging away. And I know how challenging it can get when we don't see results, because we have this old story that we keep playing. And I know one of my old stories was I can only make money doing hair, and I was making great money doing hair. And now I'm creating this yoga business, which I've had this yoga business. I have poured so much into thousands upon thousands of dollars into training and in tools and workshops and in just myself, like thousands, tens, I would say $1 million, because I have practiced me every day. And now it's like, okay, universe, I'm ready to align and create this yoga business, even though, guess what? I didn't go to college to take a business degree, but my husband didn't either. And he is now 7 years in a very successful electrical contracting business with a partner. And it's so great because really the universe aligns. And the thing is we have to surround ourselves by people who are doing the things that we want to do. And so in my real life world, I don't really know any yoga teachers who have created their own online business. But what I do is I get online and people like Alana Kaivalya, who created the Kaivalya yoga method, who is beautiful soul, who I took my 300-hour yoga teacher training, and now I'm a 500-hour certified yoga teacher, soon to be registered yoga teacher through the Yoga Alliance. And people like this are teaching me and in leading the way. And one thing that I've learned along this journey is that, I already said it once, is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. What does that mean? That I feel like we sometimes get stuck up in like, oh, I have to make my own unique, creative way. No matter what, we will always have our own creative, unique way of delivering things. Even if, say there was 10 yoga teachers and we were all given 7 yoga poses and then put together a class, all of us are going to put our flow together, our sequences together completely different. We're going to deliver it in a completely different way. And so this is where I'm at, is that I'm piecing together all of these beautiful pieces and taking what resonates and then whatever else doesn't from other people. Or like Yoga with Adriene, she's so inspiring and amazing and funny and Goofy, she taught me that it's okay to be yourself and it's okay to stumble, flumble over your words and just still be a person because we're all just teaching, and really just bringing your own personality through your yoga practice and intermingling it and weaving it together. And then I think of Rebecca Campbell, who's this beautiful, intuitive, amazing, incredible soul, and she brings just like these really deep soul healings and teaches these different practices. And it's so cool because I'm seeing these women who are doing the things, and they're thriving in it, and they're actually creating an income through it. And that's where I am at. I'm like right here. I can taste it, I can feel it, I can see it, and I've had all these visions, and now I'm taking the creative action. And so the first step was I had to order all the things. So now I like have today's my day to do my work with No Kids. Junie's in her homeschool enrichment program. Jack's actually on a snowshoeing field trip, my friends, that I did not go to. It was 2 degrees when I dropped him off at school. And so he is bundled up, base layers, pants, wool socks, 2 shirts, sweatshirt, snow pants. I actually got those stick on. Have you heard of those, like the hand warmers and the toe warmers? So we got toe warmer for under the toes, top of the toes, under the toes, top of the toes, both boots. We had to be really careful how we slid his foot into the toe, into the boots. Everything's locked and loaded. I got him actually a new pair of like really warm gloves, hand warmers. So I feel like they'll survive. But I'm just like imagining all of his classmates, and there's 4 teachers, or I think there's 3 classrooms going, and then 4 parent volunteers from each classroom. And okay, so this week was Valentine's, the day of love. And usually I don't really get so, I don't know, I don't get so involved in Valentine's Day. But this year, I was like, I'm having a new attitude about Valentine's Day. Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, it's all about consumerism and buying all this stuff. And then I was thinking about all the Valentines the kids make, and then it just is like trash. And then I was shifting, like, okay, this is a day for love and connecting. And I really did feel that. And Junie and I volunteered in Jack's classroom, and his teacher was, I think she had a dentist appointment or something, and she was gone. And so there was this lovely older substitute teacher, and my job was to come up with 2 games to facilitate in the classroom. And I just told the sub, like, I'll just take it from here for you. And I will tell you that, holy moly, it was really intimidating and hard to get all of the kids' attention. And it was me, my daughter, then there was probably like 5 or 6 parents who were just kind of, the other parents were literally just standing there. I asked 2 of the parents to help me pass out bingo. And so we did bingo, and it was like, it was so interesting because in Milo's class, they do this thing. When everyone's being loud, the teacher says, classy class. And they go, yesy, yes. And I said that, and one kid's like, we don't say classy class. We say class, class. And then I was doing this in hopes that they would. That happened. Maybe half of the kids did. Afterwards, I found out that their teacher says, mac and cheese, everybody freeze. And then everyone freezes. I didn't have the mac and cheese tool. I wish I knew it. But it was so interesting because I was experiencing all this like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to get these kids riled up because everyone was so excited. And right before bingo, the teacher handed out a cookie with like this red heart gummy on it. And then everyone was passing out their Valentines. And it was like, it was crazy, excited energy. And so I had to like do my best to bring it back down. I take this as another opportunity to be a leader and a guide, and just to grow my skills and how I can help facilitate and hold space for a lot of people. And then so Junie and I, so I had this vision of this game, 2 games. One of them was inspired. My sister made this like snowman game where you threw marshmallows through the snowman in the hole. And so I had this idea to do the love toss game. And we had one of those tri-folding poster boards that I was going to make a vision board, but I just haven't been inspired to because I've been doing a lot of self-visualization this year. And so I had that. And then I was thinking, oh, that'd be great. We'll cut out some hearts. We'll decorate it with hearts. And we had all these little colorful pom-poms that we put. We had sparkly glitter and hearts, and we wrote love on it. And then I cut out 3 hearts, and we had these really heavy, like, they're, those like pom-pom balls that have they had like little sparkly extension legs like all over it. Really funny, like tentacles. Well, they were heavier. So what we did is we had the kids come table by table, and the kids were on their knees, and they took the handful of the balls, and they each got 4 chances. And I said, okay, this is Valentine's Day. It's a day of love. So with love from your heart, send the ball through the heart. And so they would shink, and some kids did it. And I was being real excited, and I kept high-fiving everyone. It was so funny. Every kid was like, your hands are so dry. I'm like, yes, that's okay. It's okay. I have dry hands in the wintertime. We're fine. And so we did that game, and they seemed to have like a pretty fun time, and I think the kids were pretty engaged. And then I had this vision of this game called the hug game. And so my envision was that 3 kids would be in the middle, and then I would turn on some fun music. We've been really rocking out to Elvis Presley, and we did that song, Lord Almighty, something keep my temperature rising. It's that burning love. It's just a hunk of burning love. That's my beautiful singing. And so I had that song playing. And so we had 3 in the middle. We gathered the whole class to make a circle. That was pretty challenging, honestly, to get like an even circle, to have everyone listen. And then everyone was in, and then the left side was really tight, and then the right side was wide open. So we really worked hard at creating this circle. We talked about personal space and not hurting our neighbors. And then we took a step back, and then I explained the game. And of course, a few kids were like, ugh, I'm not doing that. And I was like, it's okay. It's fine. We're going to play this game. It's going to be fun. And then Judy and I wanted to give some rewards. So we had 3 stuffies to give. And I said, you're going to get a reward. 3 kids are going to get a reward for just having fun and being themselves, because a little motivation always helps. And then, so we start the music, and Junie and I and then Jack are in the middle, and we're dancing and having fun. And half of the kids are just like not, but half of the kids are just having a party time and having so much fun. And I'm just like bringing up the energy, and we're dancing, and it was super fun. And then, so when the music would stop, I would pause it. And then whoever you saw first, you would go to that person and you would give them a hug. And then that person would go in the middle. And then we continued on. And it was so interesting. I played most of that Burning Love song. I think it was about 3 minutes, and it was work. Everyone was like getting tired. And then the last little bit, I turned off that song and I put on that Teddy Bear song from Elvis Presley. It reminded me of Look Who's Talking, when John Travolta was like dancing. Did you ever see that? And he's like, yeah, the teddy bear, my teddy bear. And that was super fun. And it was interesting. There was one little girl who was like frightened, and she had her fists up by her face, her elbows drawn in, and she was looking like she was terrified. She was like completely terrified of. It was so interesting, because I'm sitting here reflecting, thinking, this sweet little girl who was apparently one of Jack's girlfriends, whatever that means, a friend that's a girl. And she was so scared, and I was just it was fun and dancing and movement and hugging. And she was terrified of this game. Like, it really it broke my heart. And I even one of the times said, can I hold your hand? And you could come in the middle. And she was like, and she was terrified. And then there was like this group of 3 boys who was trying to be really cool. And then I look over at Jack, and he was doing the same thing, even though Jack busts a move. Like, he is such a good free dancer. He's like amazing dancer. And I even called him out. I was like, Jack, you have moves. Show your moves to your classmates. And I think that embarrassed him. But it was so interesting. And I feel like maybe that little girl, that fear, a lot of that was maybe like touching people. And the pandemic created this like huge awareness for people. Not even, I don't know if it's awareness or consciousness or whatever it was, or this like mindset to, it's not safe to be close to people. It's not safe to hug people, because people didn't hug people for like a while. People were doing weird like elbows. And then finally people are like, okay, maybe we can fist bump. Now hug. Like, hugging, my friends, is like an essential part of life. It's an essential piece of connecting. You know that feeling when you haven't hugged someone in a long time, and then you give and receive a hug. This morning, I actually saw one of my beautiful soul sisters that I did that women's retreat with this summer, and her grandkids actually go to the same school as my kids, and she's just beautiful. And I saw her and I was like, oh my gosh. And I gave her a kiss on the cheek and just like wrapped my arms around her and she wrapped her arms around me and we just held each other for like 30 seconds and it was just this love. And when we pulled back, both of our eyes were watering because it was just like we felt so loved and nourished by each other's energy. And it was that. And then we just, maybe a few words and then sent off. And I felt so good and so connected. And there is healing to be done on this planet from that separation. It's so interesting because that the psychology now is what we're dealing with. Maybe it's not as much the virus of COVID, but it's that psychology of like, oh, separation, stay away from people, don't touch people. But I will say that it was so beautiful that to see the kids who were having so much fun and who were being so free and just so expressive in that hug game. And it was so awesome because I shared with the kids that I had the ideas for these games. And it just shows you that if you ever have an idea, that you can make anything come to life that you want to come to life. I just 4 days ago thought about this game and here we are enjoying it and having so much fun. And it was so wonderful. And mostly everyone was really hyped up. And then I had everyone stop at the end and we paused and everyone reached their arms up high and we took a nice forward fold and crouched down and sat on our butts and hugged ourselves. And I told all the kids, I said, okay, does everyone notice the way that they're feeling right now? All of those fun, excited feelings? And the kid next to me said, yeah, I'm really tired. And I was like, well, all those fun, joyful, exciting feelings, those are feelings that are always inside of you, that you can make them come out at any time that you want to. And then we handed out the prizes. We did like best hugger, most expressive dancer. And I kind of did this thing where it was interesting because they're second graders. And I went around and I said, okay, everyone, we're going to vote for who was the most expressive dancer. And I went around to each kid and I put my hand over them and I said, let's clap for this friend. And mostly it was like crickets. And then I kind of was like trying to bring the energy up. And it was so interesting because I was like, I don't know if I remember who was the best dancer because I was just having so much fun and I was being so present. But it was just such a great experience. And it was so just like humbling and wonderful. And by the end, I was feeling like that confidence boost of being able to help and bring these kids together, because I'm sure that it's probably different for them. They already had a substitute teacher, and then I came into their classroom maybe a handful of times, and to have them all listen to me. But it was like by the end, it's like, anything is possible. That when you just have to show up. And even if it's in your kid's classroom, even if it's showing up to actually talk to your own child about something that maybe is hard, maybe your kids, I'm noticing this a lot too, coming back to our stories that we're telling us. My kids have these stories too. Like, I don't know exactly what Milo's story is, but I'm really noticing that he's got some pretty yucky stories that he's telling himself every day. And it's really like creating this separation too. It's really sad for me right now between him and Junie. Milo is like, ew, Junie, you're so gross. I don't want to be around you. Don't touch me. Don't hug me. And he's like, I'm the cool brother and you're gross. You breathe out of your mouth, you. And he's just being kind of a stinker. And he'll come up and hug me. And the other morning, Junie was like, it was last night. She said, I just want my brother to love me and hug me. And she started bawling. And Milo's like, ew, you're gross. And I was like, Milo James, get your butt over here and hug your sister. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And I'm like, yeah, sir, you're going to come hug your sister and you're going to be nice to her right now. And I legitimately had to like force him to hug her. And it was not probably the best thing. I think forcing a hug is not the best thing, but it's interesting though, because for me and for you, my beautiful soul sisters, when we can notice our stories like that we're telling ourselves, like, so if we're stuck maybe in that victim mentality, that victim mindset where we're like, why me? Why is this happening? It's really easy to do. I get it. There's times I catch myself and I'm like, why me? That's what Milo does. Why me, mom? Why is this happening to me? He was super sick last week, like all week, so sick. This week he's feeling great. It's amazing to see how miraculous the body is, how the body can heal with like rest and attention. And we just used homeopathy. He didn't even take ibuprofen one time. It was like really, really cool to like see that. And I told you on last week's podcast, like I was bringing that to Milo's awareness of, Milo, do you think maybe the way you're feeling is because you've been treating people really poorly? And he's like, no, but really, my soul sisters, everything is a manifestation of our thoughts and our actions in our lives. And checking in, even when I was telling you about those yucky, gross varicose veins in my legs that I've manifested from that really deep seated story of that I'm abandoned, and that I have to notice that if that comes up, that I have to rewrite that story when it comes up, because programming can be a challenge to break, that it can take some time and attention. And that's why I'm super stoked that I'm doing this 4-day for full immersion, that I have heard all of these like amazing testimonies that really this like deep work, it like forces you deep, deep, deep into like shifting and transforming those old stories. So I'm very excited. It's legitimately 1 month away. I'm thinking about 1 month away. I'm going to be in this. It's really cool though, this Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. And it's actually, I'm going to do it with my sister Jenny. We're doing it from her home. It's kind of cool because you don't have to get an airplane. You don't have to pay like, people were paying like I think anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 for tickets to go to the in-person. And another great thing from the pandemic is this really cool thing that we can do things from home. And that's why I also am feeling just so lit up and super excited about like really diving in and bringing this home practice to women at home, because I know for me, having a home practice was the only way that I could ever do a practice, because back in those days, even I remember for a while I went to this gym. I can't even remember what it was, the Fort Collins Club. It's called something else now. And I took CrossFit and boxing classes. This was before, well, I mean, I was doing yoga still. And I had to pay more for childcare than I did for my membership at the gym. And the expense just came too much. And Junie like did not like going there. Half of the time I would have someone from the child care place be like, Jack's crying and he won't stop crying. And I'm like, aha. So I really just was like, I have to have a home practice. And that is why I'm here. And it's so cool that through my journey, it's really just brought me and shown me the way. It's shown me the way that I can help bring this to other women all over the world. And I know that if you maybe haven't taken a yoga teacher training, that it can be intimidating to practice yoga. I noticed that with Junie. It was like her first or second morning when she was practicing yoga. And she was like, Mom, I don't want you to help me. I'm going to just do whatever I want. And then she inevitably just ended up like rolling around, petting the dogs. And it was like she didn't do anything. And so that's why I'm so excited to bring Yoga Bliss with Shelly, which I have been doing. And I have legitimately hundreds of classes. And my quality is only getting better. I have a lot of quantity, and now I'm working on quantity and quality. That's something that I really am focusing on. I got really in the midst of like, is it quantity or quality? And through personal growth and development, it's both. Both of it matters. It matters to have a really good quality and a really good packaging. And that's where I'm at too with growing Yoga Bliss and rewiring my brain, because my brain's like, awaken you. It's been awaken you, and now it's Yoga Bliss. Come back, come back, come back. That's like my journey with mirroring. Have you ever taken a class from a yoga teacher where they are saying the right side and it's your left side and you're like, what is happening? It's because maybe that teacher wasn't trained on mirroring. And so that's something I remember when I took my 200-hour teacher training that was really hard at first. It was like, are you kidding me? I have to rewire my brain. And so we did. We rewired our brain that our right body is our left body. Our left body is our right body. So when I say my left hand, it's your when blah, blah, blah. Okay, when I say my left hand, I raise my right hand, and it's actually your left hand, because think of, you look in the mirror, it's the opposite side. And how we learned how to do this, so maybe if you are a yoga teacher and you didn't get trained on that, I just hit my mic, excuse me, microphone. You can actually teach yourself. You can train yourself how to rewire your brain and switch that. And so what we did was we actually wrote L on our right hand and our right foot. We wrote LL for left. And then we wrote R on our hand and R on our foot. So yeah, maybe we looked a little goofy. And yeah, it was a Sharpie, probably some toxic things. And it took time and it took a lot of mistakes and messing up. But now I can make this switch in my brain because it's like with anything, it's a habit. And so now I can make the switch when I'm teaching and I'm on my mat and I'm teaching. I'm like, okay, I know that I say my right side's my left and vice versa. And and that's something I'm really excited about bringing to is that I've like really mastered my mirroring skills. I would say I'm about like 90% solid. I actually did watch one of my videos and I was like, ooh, I slipped up there. I totally said my right side and it was their left. And that's why it's really good to kind of explore your own content and see what you're doing. And that's what I'm doing. And I always feel like constructive criticism is like huge becoming better. I noticed that too with my kids and Junie, and she gets really upset and really mad at me, but we're not helping our kids be better people if we don't constructively help them learn how to be better and if they don't know that they're messing up. Because when I first started being a parent, I sent my kids to this like Waldorfy school. It was this like nurture and nature school. It was lovely. But my mindset of parenting was like, okay, don't be mean to your kids. Don't tell them what they're doing wrong. I was like this fluffy, muffy mom. And the older my kids got, I realized that is not serving them anymore. And that the older my kids get, it's way more challenging and it's way different. And they have way more of that. Like they want me to hear what they're going to say. And they don't, even if they are not saying things that are honest, they will try their best to convince me of otherwise. And that I know that now as a mom and a human and this business owner, this business creator too, is that I have to be in charge and accountable. That's the word I'm looking for, is being accountable. And even when we're maybe not doing our best. So that's when I look back at when I first started my space Yoga Bliss with Shelly. And I was at the time, really, I was doing the best that I could. But today I know that I can do better. And that's what I'm really about, like being the better, best version of myself, because I'm not going to get better or do better or be better by doing things the same way I've always done them. It's so true. And I think that one of the biggest things that we need to do is get real with ourselves and be honest. Be honest in our ability to be accountable. And if we struggle with accountability, find a soul sister or perhaps your spouse, if you have a spouse that you really can trust. Like my husband, he is so brutally honest with me. And I used to get so mad at him and I feel really hurt when I was really stuck in that victim mindset. But now I really take it and I really just allow myself to take it in. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I have been being a really cranky mom. Like sometimes the programming, the story at nighttime with my kids, if you've been following me and listening, is I'm a really bad mom. If my kids don't get enough sleep, they need to be in bed. And then this like rush of cortisol, that like anxiety chemical, that fear release just shoots everywhere. And then I just turn into this mean monster and I'm yelling at everyone. And who wants to go to bed with someone yelling at them? So I've really been really mindful of that. And I notice when it comes up, when it's like, oh my gosh, it's 7:30 and Jack's not asleep. He's been awake since 5:30. Bah. I'm like, Shelly, calm down. It's fine. He's going to get enough sleep. It's fine. He's going to be okay. And I have to like talk to myself, Shelly, like have that inner dialect, that inner conversation when the ego is just like in full blown panic mode. It's like, okay, come back. And it's that awareness. And sometimes I know in the beginning of my journey, I didn't have that clarity, that awareness. I couldn't notice it. And it just came. It came organically. And knowing that awareness is something that happens, right? It happens over time. And it happens when you start to become the noticer of your life and the noticer of yourself. And all of this work, my beautiful soul sisters, it starts within us. And so for our self-care practice of today, this is more of, I would love to bring a journaling self-care practice. So if you don't have a journal, I really implore you to pause this audio and grab a journal, or just pause this until you're in a space when you can grab a journal, because Remember that self-care, that self-inner growing only happens when we actually take the time to do the thing. Because I know many years that I would listen to things and be like, that's a good idea, but I don't have time for that. I'm not going to do that. It works. It only works when you actually do it, my soul sisters. Okay, so self-care practice of today's podcast is, what is my old story? What is my old story of myself? And if you want to just start with what is my old story with myself, I think that's a great start. I think a lot of us women have the self-doubt. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not the right age. I'm not the right size. What's my old story about myself? What is it? And maybe just take a moment. If you are being brave in writing, I'm so grateful for you. And if you're thinking about being brave, I'm grateful for you too. You just have to do it, or think on it and be like, okay, this is my old story. And now pause the audio if you want to keep writing. And then our second reflection is going to be, what is the old story of my relationship with my closest person? So I'm really thinking about your spouse. If you're single, maybe you could think of a past relationship, because our relationships are our greatest teachers. They are our greatest life lessons and awareness bringers. And so what is my old story in my relationship? What is it? For me, it has been, I'm always going to be abandoned. I always have to do everything alone. There always has to be constant tension and fighting, that I have to hide things from my husband, that I can't tell him the way I'm really feeling because he's going to reject me. Those are some of my old stories. So pause this if you want to keep writing, or write this and maybe record these later. And so now we have our old stories. We have written out what we have. And again, if you need a pause, then continue to write. And so on a clean sheet of paper, the new story. What is my new story of myself? And maybe that can be a little challenging. So maybe we need to do just like a tiny practice of grounding. Let's do that. I'm going to encourage that because, okay, so just take a moment to settle in your seats, to blink your eyelashes closed, to feel the weight of clothing on your skin, to invite the inhale into the breath. Exhale it away. 2 more full cycles of breath. Inhale. Exhale. Allow whatever is coming to come. Inhale. Exhale. Now envision yourself in 5 years. See yourself as your best self, as you accomplishing all of your goals, all of your dreams, living your best life, feeling joyful and happy and abundant and prosperous. See you wearing beautiful clothes in a lovely, clean and tidy house, in a beautiful car that's clean. This clean house and clean car also represent your mind space, your clean and organized mind. See yourself in loving relationships, smiling and laughing, maybe going on vacations, allowing yourself to explore what is your business like, your business thriving and growing, or your career that you're growing and you're connected and you're feeling so excited and so amazed to be alive at this beautiful life that is your life. See that life. Grow that expression. Maybe you're in nature doing the things that you love doing and that you feel so free and so expansive. Your body is healthy. Your health is healthy. That you are in charge of your body, your mind, your spirit. You have a beautiful spiritual practice, that you're so connected to the universe or God or the divine or nature, whatever resonates. Allow yourself to grow and feel so grateful for this life. And like 5 years away is a bridge, you can almost pull or walk towards that with your physical self, walking up over that bridge, bridging that gap, bringing yourself into yourself, into your best, highest self, walking closer and closer, seeing yourself, merging your energies as one, and you are her. And with a beautiful inhale, blinking the eyelashes open, grabbing your pen and writing down. What is your new story? You write down where you are, what you're wearing, what you're doing. What did you see? What did you see yourself as? How did you see her? Wearing flowy, beautiful clothes, being connected, What did you see? Write it all down. Pause this. And really, my construction workers are back. I'm grateful for them being here. If you're hearing sound in the background. And I really just encourage you to really explore and expand and really write. So it might take a while. And I'm going to wrap up our podcast, but really feel those feelings of what it feels like to bridge that gap from that old story to that new story. And I really encourage you, this is really powerful, to either cross out your old story or take it and safely in the sink with maybe a glass bowl, not a plastic bowl, and a little bit of water and a lighter, light that baby on fire. But be careful, because I've definitely done some like old journal lighting and I've totally set off the smoke alarms because I've created some big flames. So if you can, fire is so amazing. It's just like put it into the fire or crush it up. I'm really big into recycling usually, but I would say don't recycle this because you don't want anyone else to get these old thoughts. Rip it up, crunch it up, put it in the trash and say goodbye to that old story. Really awaken that new story. My beautiful soul sisters, I love you. I'm so grateful for you. And know that you can totally have everything that you imagined yourself to be. You can be all of those things, but it starts inside first, because it all originates with how we're feeling. And if we're waking up feeling that daily rush of cortisol, or if we create a practice where we can wake up and we can ground our energy, where we can feel grateful to be alive, or we can feel so grateful for the abundant prosperity floating into our lives, that sets our tone for the day. And practices like this very one, where you're writing your new story, where you're imagining, where you're seeing it, you can bring that to life. And know that if you struggled with this visualization practice, I've had many of those where it's like all black and I can't see it, that's okay. Try this again tomorrow. Try it a different day, or get yourself in a new state. A new state is a new way of feeling. And so remember, last week's practice was get up, do that superhero pose, stand with those legs wide open, hands at the hips, and allow yourself to change the way you're feeling so you can change the way that you're acting and you're thinking. It changes everything. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. Yay, awaken you with Shelly Bond. We bid you farewell. Our old story, we love you. And now we awaken. Yoga Bliss with Shelly, this space for yoga, growth, and inner healing for women. I'm so grateful to be here. Head over to iTunes, leave Yoga Bliss with Shelly a 5-star rating and a review. It means the universe to me. And please share this with one lovely lady, one soul sister, or maybe even someone that you don't know on your social media that you're like, maybe she could use this. If you get that hit, send it out, share it like a spider web. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I will be back here hanging out with you next week, soul sisters. Big hugs and love. I love you.